34-year-old man is behind bars for fatally beating 3 people and critically injuring a 4th. At just before 4 p.m. on Wednesday the 5th of June, authorities responded to a call about multiple people injured at an outbuilding at 3699 East Otter Road in Marion, Iowa. When first responders arrived, they found 4 adults with severe injuries. 3 were pronounced dead at the scene. The 4th victim was airlifted to a hospital with life-threatening injuries. Authorities said that the victim suffered blunt force trauma to the head. 34-year-old Luke Truesdale, who remained on scene, admitted to beating the victims with a metal pipe. The pipe was found nearby with blood and hair on it, and he was taken into custody without incident. The 3 deceased victims were identified as 44-year-old Ramondus Lamar Cooper, 26-year-old Kiona Victoria Ryan, and 33-year-old Amanda Sue Parker. 34-year-old Brent Anthony Brown survived the attack and is in a critical condition. Investigators said that Luke was captured on surveillance video in the area of the building where the victims were found. Authorities said that a potential motive included the possibility of the crime being made into a movie. Brent's father, who owns the property where the victims were found, said his son no longer has any brain activity. Luke is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder, and remains held at the Linn County Jail on a $4 million cash bond. The investigation into the matter continues. 33-year-old Colt Brian Lakaya is behind bars and is accused of raping and sodomizing a young girl. On Friday the 31st of May, authorities received a call from someone in Level Plains, Alabama, claiming that they saw Colt having sex with an 8-year-old girl in the back of his truck. When police arrived, Colt had fled the scene. At just after 10 p.m. that night, authorities spotted Colt's abandoned vehicle sitting in an Auburn Walmart parking lot, about 110 miles away. Dale County investigators, with the help of Auburn detectives and Lee County deputies, took the car back to Dale County. On Sunday the 2nd of June, Dale County investigators found Colt fleeing on foot in the Tuskegee National Forest in Altosuga, Alabama, about 10 miles away from where he left his vehicle. After a 4-mile chase through the forest, Colt was taken into custody. During a court hearing on Tuesday the 4th of June, Dale County investigator Lieutenant Caroline Jackson testified while on the run. Colt texted his girlfriend, saying he wanted to explain what happened, and claimed the 8-year-old girl enticed him, blaming her for the incident. Lieutenant Jackson also said that Colt sent messages to his mother while fleeing, saying, "My life is over, and I'm sorry I failed my family." Colt is a registered sex offender and on lifetime federal probation after a 2013 conviction on charges of attempting to entice a child for immoral purposes. Colt is charged with rape and sodomy and is held at the Dale County Jail without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 31-year-old man is behind bars for fatally shooting his pregnant 33-year-old girlfriend. At 10:33 p.m. on Tuesday the 4th of June, authorities responded to a home in the 100 block of Dixon Road in Bladen County, North Carolina on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they entered the residence and found 33-year-old Bolivia Monique Williams deceased with several gunshot wounds. She was 25 weeks pregnant at the time. A witness at the scene identified Bolivia's boyfriend, 31-year-old Najee Dyson Leach, as a suspect in the shooting. He fled the scene before officers arrived. The day after the killing, Najee posted on his Facebook page, "You post to love me, but gone thug me." The Blake County Sheriff's Office released an announcement asking for the public's assistance in helping locate Najee. The post stated that he was considered armed and dangerous, possibly driving a 2006 Subaru Forester, and that he had altered his appearance by cutting off his dreadlocks. At around 4 p.m. on Wednesday the 5th of June, authorities located and arrested Najee, but authorities did not state where they found him. Najee was booked into the Bladen County Jail on charges of murder, murder of an unborn child, discharging a weapon into an occupied property, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and larceny of a motor vehicle. He appeared in court on Thursday the 6th of June and was denied bond. If convicted on the charges, Najee could face the death penalty. The investigation into the matter continues. A man is behind bars for repeatedly raping his young stepdaughter over a 2-year period. On the 4th of May 2024, authorities responded to a residence at 970 Old Greenville Road in Spartanburg, South Carolina on report of a sexual assault. Upon arrival, deputies were informed that the 9-year-old victim, her mother and her stepfather, 39-year-old Melvin Lopez, were going to a store to get food together. The woman went inside, but quickly returned to find the girl upset when the girl disclosed to her mother that Melbourne touched her private parts. The girl was transported to hospital where she was examined when she disclosed to the nurse that she had been sexually abused since she was 7. On the 7th of May, a forensic interview was conducted at the Children's Advocacy Centre where additional disclosures were made. On the 31st of May, a forensic medical was conducted on the victim that solidified disclosures. On the 5th of June, Melbourne was arrested and charged with 6 counts of criminal sexual conduct with a minor. Melbourne remains held at the Spartanburg County Jail without bond. A woman is behind bars for killing the father of her child. Authorities said that just before 11:45 a.m. on Thursday the 6th of June, 23-year-old Brianna DiDolce shot 25-year-old Jeremiah Anger inside a residence at 1 Winoka Street in the Carrick neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Police and paramedics responded to the property after Jeremiah called 911 to say that he had been shot. When first responders arrived, they entered the premises and found Jeremiah on the first floor of the home conscious, with a gunshot wound to the chest. Officials described the residence as a rental home, with multiple private rooms and a common area. Medics transported Jeremiah to the hospital in a critical condition, where he later died. Brianna told police that she and Jeremiah share a child together. She said that she shot Jeremiah twice after they got into an argument. She said that Jeremiah had been physically and verbally abusive with her in the past. She said that he threatened to throw her down the stairs, and that's when she pulled out a gun and shot him. Brianna was booked into the Allegheny County Jail and charged with criminal homicide and tampering with evidence after police said she hid the gun used in the murder. She remains held with bond denied. The investigation into the matter continues. 26-year-old Deanna Hollingsworth is behind bars after a 5-year-old stepdaughter was found dead in a river. At around 2:40 p.m. on Thursday the 6th of June, authorities received a 911 call in which the caller told dispatch that a child had been playing in the Wabash River in Kimmel Park in Vincennes, Indiana before disappearing from sight. Multiple agencies rushed to the river and searched for the girl using boat, sonar and dive teams. At 7:14 p.m, the girl's body was recovered by divers near the park's boat ramp. Investigators said that the child was in Deanna's care at the park when she vanished in the river, and that there was enough evidence to show that she put the child in a situation that endangered her life or health. Deanna was arrested and charged with neglect and is held at the Knox County Jail on a $75,000 cash bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 22-year-old woman is behind bars after forcing 2 young girls to remain in a bathtub with scalding hot water. At 8:26 p.m. on Thursday the 6th of June, authorities responded to a home in the 17,000 block of Hannon Trace Road in Guyan Township, Ohio, on reports of a medical emergency. When deputies arrived, they entered the premises and found 2 girls with severe burns over large portions of their body. One of the girls suffered a seizure. Medics transported the girls to a hospital in Huntington, Ohio for medical treatment. Upon further investigation, authorities determined that the injuries were a direct result of intentional acts committed by an adult entrusted to care for the children. On the night of Sunday the 9th of June, detectives interviewed 22-year-old Melinda Harrison, who's in a relationship with the children's father and was watching them at the time. Authorities said that Melinda admitted to placing the 4- and 5-year-old girls in a bathtub of hot water. She reportedly refused to let the girls leave and adjust their water temperature, and physically restrained them to keep them in the burning water. Investigators said that this resulted in seizure activity and second-degree burns to the 5-year-old child, and first and second-degree burns to the 4-year-old girl. Melinda was arrested that night and charged with 2 counts of felony child endangerment. She remains held at the Gallia County Jail on a $500,000 bond. If she posts bond, she'll be prohibited from consuming alcohol or being in places where alcohol is served, and is not to have any contact with the victims. The investigation into the matter continues. A 31-year-old woman is behind bars after setting fire to her boyfriend's house shortly after breaking up, killing his mother and severely injuring 2 other people inside. Authorities said that around 11:17 p.m. on the 3rd of June, Cinnamon Charmaine Rigmaiden poured an accelerant on the front porch of her ex-boyfriend's home at 6003 Seminole Street in Detroit, Michigan, before setting the house alight and fleeing the area. Fire department personnel responded to the scene and extinguished the fire and found 53-year-old Tina Dora deceased on the 2nd floor of the home. Two surviving victims, a 57-year-old man and his partner, a 65-year-old woman, both suffered burns and smoke inhalation. The woman also suffered a fractured ankle after jumping from the second floor of the building. They were transported to a local hospital for medical treatment. During the investigation, authorities determined that Cinnamon had broken up with Tina's son not long before the incident. Authorities said that Cinnamon knew that 3 people were inside the home because she had just been there 30 minutes earlier talking to her ex's uncle. Investigators said that Cinnamon ignited the flames, even though she knew that Tina was partially paralysed and suffered from mobility issues. Her ex-boyfriend was not home during the incident. After fleeing from the residence, Cinnamon reportedly texted her ex-boyfriend, "Your house is on fire," and drove to a McDonald's. On the 4th of June, Livonia police located and arrested Cinnamon about 20 miles away and turned her over to the Detroit Police Department. While questioned, Cinnamon told detectives that on the night of the fire, she wanted her ex to feel her pain. She said that for several hours, she debated what to do before purchasing 75 cents worth of gasoline, walked up to the porch of the home and dumped it on the couch, and then lit it on fire. Cinnamon was booked into the Wayne County Jail on charges of murder, 2 counts of assault with intent to murder, 3 counts of first-degree arson, and 1 count of third-degree arson. She remains held without bond. Wayne County Prosecuting Attorney Kim Worthy said, "Since when is the solution in the breakup of a relationship setting fire to an occupied house? The alleged actions of the defendant in this case are beyond reprehensible. The investigation into the matter continues." A 16-year-old boy is behind bars for fatally stabbing his 19-year-old brother during an argument. At around 10:15 a.m. on Tuesday the 11th of June, authorities responded to an apartment complex at 926 Oak Ridge Drive in Des Moines, Iowa on reports of domestic violence. When officers arrived, they located a 19-year-old male injured inside with a stab wound to his neck. He was transported to Unipoint Methodist Medical Center in a critical condition, but later succumbed to his injuries. The victim was identified as Abdelmajid Al-Zubair. Authorities identified the victim's brother, 16-year-old Mohammed Al-Zubair, as the suspect in the killing. Investigators determined that the stabbing was premeditated and the result of a dispute between the brothers. Within minutes of their arrival, officers located Mohammed nearby and took him into custody. Mohammed's charged with first-degree murder and is charged as an adult, though he remains held at a juvenile detention facility on a $1 million bond. If convicted, Mohammed could spend the rest of his life in prison. Their father described Abdelmajid as a good boy. He said that his son was supposed to graduate from high school this year. He said that Abdelmajid had dreams of going to college in New York and becoming a doctor. The investigation into the matter continues. 41-year-old Michael Delmar fatally shot his 42-year-old wife Katie Delmar before turning the gun on himself. The incident occurred at around 8:15 p.m. on Sunday the 9th of June at her home at 1016 Adrian Way in Santa Rosa County, Florida. Authorities said that Michael burst into a room with a gun in hand and started choking Katie. He then dragged Katie into the living room, where he shot her in the stomach, twice in the leg and in the back. The couple's 3 children, a 4-year-old girl, an 8-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl, were inside the home at the time. Authorities said that the children ran out of the house screaming. One child was shot during the ordeal and ran to the home of a neighbor who's an Okaloosa County deputy. The off-duty deputy called 911, alerting deputies about the shooting, stating that the child was at his door with a gunshot wound to the leg. Santa Rosa County deputies arrived and gave PA commands for Michael to exit the house. A SWAT team eventually entered the home and found the couple dead. Authorities said that 2 children were injured during the ordeal, including the one with a gunshot wound, and they were transported to the Sacred Heart Hospital for treatment. Santa Rosa Sheriff Bob Johnson said that his department has been called to the home twice before for domestic disputes, but each time they were only verbal disputes. He said that the children are safe now with family members. The main thing now is to get them counselling and to get them help, he said. If you're religious out there, and I am, I would tell you this: pray for that family, because they're going to need your prayers, he added. I can't imagine what they're going through. It's something no family wants to go through, but unfortunately they're going to have to deal with this for the rest of their lives, he said. 26-year-old Heather Nicole McCall is behind bars for fatally shooting her ex-boyfriend 31-year-old Jeremy Howard during an argument. And just before 7 a.m. on Wednesday the 12th of June, authorities responded to a home in the 100 block of Nowhere Road in Athens, Georgia, on reports of a man shot. When officers arrived on scene, they found Jeremy suffering from a gunshot wound to his stomach. Medics performed life-saving measures and transported him to a hospital, where he later died. Authorities said that Jeremy and Heather had previously been in a romantic relationship that involved domestic violence. After the shooting, Heather explained to police that the landlord had told Jeremy to stay away from the Nowhere Road residence because he had previously beaten her. When Jeremy showed up unexpectedly that morning, Heather told officers she grabbed a gun from her roommate's bedroom. She advised that she had never used a gun before and didn't realize her finger was on the trigger. She said that while she was screaming at Jeremy, she tensed up and the gun went off. A 41-year-old man who was visiting Heather's home told police that when the pair began arguing, he went outside to give them space. The witness said that soon afterwards, a single gunshot rang out and Jeremy came out of the front door clutching his stomach, and he collapsed to the ground. The witness added that Heather came out right behind him, and she applied pressure to the gunshot wound in an effort to staunch the bleeding, before they called 911 for help. Heather was arrested and booked into the Athens Clark County Jail on charges of involuntary manslaughter and reckless conduct. If convicted, she faces up to 10 years imprisonment. The investigation into the matter continues. 31-year-old Kayla White is behind bars for fatally shooting her 27-year-old boyfriend during a domestic dispute. At 10:57 a.m. on Tuesday the 2nd of April, authorities responded to a residence in the 900 block of Navarro Lane in Birmingham, Alabama on reports of a disturbance. When officers arrived, they found a man dead from a gunshot wound. The victim was identified as 27-year-old Joshua Johnston Hayes. Police said the shooting occurred during an argument between Hayla and Joshua, who were in a romantic relationship. It's unclear what the argument was about. Police said that Kayla remained on scene and was taken in for questioning that day, but was released after a 48-hour hold. On the 29th of May, detectives presented the case to the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office, and a murder warrant was issued against Kayla. On the 6th of June, Kayla was arrested by Helena police following a traffic stop, and she was booked into the Jefferson County Jail on a murder charge and remains held without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 28-year-old woman is accused of intentionally overdosing her children with prescription and over-the-counter drugs. The Union County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina first began the investigation in March after Sarah Jones's 8 and 9-year-old children were admitted to hospital in what investigators described as exhibiting severe symptoms of a narcotics overdose. Medical staff determined the victims had consumed a substantial amount of prescription drugs, including tramadol, as well as over-the-counter drug Benadryl at their home in Monroe, North Carolina. The children reportedly required substantial medical treatment for potentially life-threatening injuries and spent a prolonged period of time in hospital as a result. Further investigation revealed Sarah overdosed her children in what authorities called intentional malicious acts. Investigators said they were able to establish that Sarah intentionally and maliciously overdosed her children in a pattern of abuse spanning several months, and that the hospital visit prompting the initial investigation was not the first incident. On the afternoon of Wednesday the 5th of June, Sarah was arrested and charged with 2 counts of felony child abuse, neglect, omission resulting in serious bodily injury. She was booked into the Union County Detention Center, but was released on a $25,000 bond. Sarah said that the charges are a mistake and that she only gave her children their prescriptions, prescribed meds and dosage. Authorities said that the victims were transitioned into foster care and are recovering from their injuries. The investigation into the matter continues. On Monday the 10th of June, a Versailles, Missouri man was charged with 2 counts of statutory sodomy, one for a child younger than 12 and another under the age of 14. 42-year-old Joshua Allen Hagerman is being held at the Morgan County Jail without bond. Joshua appeared in court on Tuesday the 11th of June and pleaded not guilty. He has a bond hearing set for Tuesday the 18th of June. Authorities said that on the 28th of May, one of the child victims told interviewers at the Kids Harbour in Osage Beach that they were sexually assaulted by Joshua while they were at his residence on the weekend of the 27th of April. Joshua was reportedly supposed to take care of the 2 children that weekend. Investigators said that Joshua also put alcohol into the drinks that the juveniles consumed. The victim told law enforcement that Joshua only assaults them while they're at his residence. Joshua was interviewed by law enforcement on Monday the 10th of June and denied the allegations. The investigation into the matter continues. 29-year-old Karina Mustafa is behind bars for intentionally holding a toddler's head underwater because the child knocked over some pot plants. At around 12:45 p.m. on Friday the 7th of June, Daytona Beach Police in Florida responded to a residence after receiving a 911 call regarding a disturbance. Police later learnt the disturbance was about a toddler who nearly drowned. Authorities said that the toddler was playing outside on the front veranda of the residence when the child knocked over some pot plants, causing the child to become covered in dirt and muddy water. Afterward, Karina got into an argument with the toddler's father, and that's when Karina took the child to the bathroom to allegedly clean the dirt off. She then locked the bathroom door and would not let the child's father in. While in the bathroom, she submerged the toddler's face in the bathtub water. She later opened the bathroom door, and that's when police said the child's father found the toddler unconscious in the bathtub. He performed life-saving measures and was able to revive the child. The toddler was taken to a local hospital for treatment and is reportedly in a stable condition. During a later interview with detectives, Karina admitted that she slapped the child for pulling her fingers and damaging her nails, and stated that she purposely pushed the toddler's face down in the water. She also claimed the child is out of control regarding behavioural problems, and that it was directly impacting her relationship with the child's father. She added that she believed the child was possessed by the devil. Karina was arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse and is held at the Volusia County Jail without bond. The investigation into the matter continues. A 41-year-old barber shop owner is behind bars for fatally shooting his 37-year-old upstairs neighbour. At 5:45 p.m. on Saturday the 8th of June, authorities responded to a parking lot at 226 North York Road in Hatboro, Pennsylvania on reports of a shooting. When officers arrived, they found an unresponsive man laying on the ground with gunshot wounds to his face, shoulder and back. Medics transported the man to Abington Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The victim was identified as 37-year-old Stephen Strasberg. Investigators learnt that Stephen lived above a business called Razor Reese's Salon, owned by 41-year-old Maurice Bird, and the two had ongoing disputes with one another. Authorities said that Maurice was the one who called 911 to say that Stephen was verbally assaulting him with racial slurs. While on the phone, the dispatcher heard 5 gunshots, then a pause, followed by 2 additional gunshots. When the dispatcher asked if Maurice shot Stephen, he said yes. On scene, officers recovered 7 spent cartridge casings and a semi-automatic handgun registered to Maurice, who had a permit to carry. Officials said that Stephen didn't have a weapon during the incident. Detectives took a statement from Maurice, who said he was standing outside of his business in the parking lot smoking a cigarette. Maurice reported that while standing outside, he saw Stephen at the front corner of his business. He said that Stephen yelled a dirty N-word to him. Maurice said that he then entered his business to retrieve his cell phone to call 911 and went back outside, where he was previously smoking. While on the phone with 911, he said he saw Stephen standing near a vehicle when he started walking toward him. Maurice said that he began to retreat further into the parking lot when Stephen grabbed his shirt. Maurice said that he then retrieved his handgun from the front of his waistband, to which Stephen responded, "What you gonna do? Shoot me, N-word?" Maurice said that Stephen pulled his arm back like he was going to punch him, so he fired several shots and dropped his cell phone while still on the phone with 911 dispatchers. After Stephen was on the ground, Maurice dropped his handgun and retrieved his cell phone. Authorities said that Maurice spoke with dispatchers after the shooting until police arrived. Maurice was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and possessing an instrument of crime. He's held at the Montgomery County Jail without bail. The investigation into the matter continues.